You want to know the perk about being a 40-something millennial with no kids? See how I'm awake? Has children.
Childfree, baby.
Childfree. Millennial pose.
Anytime I get around kids, the people around me are like, oh my gosh, Jamera, you're so good with kids, you're great with kids, you're going to be a great mom one day. I have no desire to have children. What people fail to realize is that the reason why I am able to be so good with kids is because I have the bandwidth to be good with kids. I have the bandwidth to be good to kids. I have the bandwidth to be nurturing, to be patient, to be excited and curious and high energy, because I don't have kids of my own. That's why I'm able to be the fun auntie. That's why I'm able to be the listening ear, and I'm able to interact with these kids in a healthy way and be present, be a present figure in their life when I'm around them. Is because I don't have children of my own. I get to pour so much love and time and energy into my friends' kids because I have the space to recharge myself, and I have the space to be alone and to not have to constantly be caring for this other human being. So me being good with kids is literally directly attributed to the fact that I don't have any kids of my own. And I firmly believe that if I did have children, I would not be able to be the presence that I am in my friend's kid's life. I wouldn't be the fun auntie. I would not have the capacity.
To everyone in my life that is telling me because I'm in my late 20s and married now that I should be having children, I just want to say that I've been laying on my bed in the middle of the day doing absolutely nothing because my executive dysfunction is just... How would I do that with kids? How do you expect me to not neglect a child if I can't even take care of myself? That's it. That's my argument.
So when my husband and I first got our place, because it has 2 bedrooms, everyone's like, well, what are you going to do with the second bedroom? Are you going to turn it into a nursery? And I was like, hell no. I'm not turning the second bedroom into a child's room. I'm turning it into my husband's room. We're not getting pregnant. We're getting sleep divorced. I'm trying to sleep better, not as worse as humanly possible.
I'm 28 and I don't have children, and here are some of the reasons why. First thing is that, the economy, it just seems like it only ever gets worse and worse, and it's never really a good time to have kids. And I know it's been like that since the beginning of time, and all that, but just personally, I've been in a lot of different situations where if I had a child, I just don't really know what I would have done. I don't know how I would have been able to support myself and a child at the time, especially in the most difficult points in my life. It kind of was the only thing I had to be grateful for was that at least I didn't have children. At least I wasn't doing all of this and had to worry about taking care of children as well. Another reason is that I just don't want to fall in the cycle of thinking that I'm a better parent because I didn't do the exact same things that my parents did. So therefore that makes me a better parent because I've seen that cycle continue in my own family, and it's not really great. I'm also just in no rush. I have not completely closed off myself to the idea of children, but I have completely closed myself off to the idea of having children before the age of 30, honestly before the age of 35. And I'm at a state now where I would rather regret not having children than to regret having children too young, or any regrets around having children I don't want to have. And I'm not at that place in my life yet to feel like if I had children right now that I would not have any regrets. Now this might be the biggest reason, but I really don't want to get caught in the trap of finding purpose through motherhood. And that's not a bad thing in any way, shape, or form. I am not speaking down on women who have found their purpose through motherhood, because I think that is amazing. However, I don't think it's for everyone. I don't think everyone was made to be a mother. I think it's like this pressure that gets put onto us to feel like we were made to be mothers, and this was, you know, what we're here for. This is our purpose. And I feel like that gets so many women stuck in this like dream and this like fantasy of what it means to be a mother. And just the same way that not everyone is built to be, you know, everyone's not built to be a rocket science, right? Everybody's not built to be a doctor. Everyone's not built to do, just like everyone is not built to do the same things in life. Every woman was not built and designed to be a mother. You know what I'm saying? And I don't want to get caught up in that trap of that I'll be able to find purpose once I have children, because that's just, I don't want that. I want my purpose to be outside of motherhood. I want to be able to feel fully secure in my identity before I ever even, you know, cross that threshold into motherhood. And I think that's honestly always been the biggest thing that's kept me from children, is that if I can't even identify like what I think my purpose is, I don't want to have children so that now I can feel like I have a purpose. If that makes sense.
I've escaped 80% of life's problems by not having children. So I did a video about this on my YouTube channel last year, and it was my most viewed video to date, where I talk about how the only thing that I have to worry about when I wake up in the morning is, do I want coffee or tea? And there's no legitimate reason under the sun for me to ever change that. A lot of people don't have a deep understanding that for many of us child-free women, the decision to be child-free really just comes from not wanting to make our lives harder than it has to be. Because it's like, why would I do that, right? I talked about how I don't have to worry about stuff. And then if I had kids, I would have to worry about a bunch of things, like overnight. If I, right now in my life, I no longer have to live paycheck to paycheck. Now, I'm not bragging or anything like that, but I know what it's like to live paycheck to paycheck, because I used to live like that a long time ago. And now I don't have to. Like, I even have things on auto pay now, because we always joke about, you know, you made it if you got things on auto pay. Like, just take it out of this account. You know what I mean? I have stuff like literally coming out of this account on auto pay, like every week, every month, whatever. And so I literally would go right back to living paycheck to paycheck again and struggling again if I had children. And I have no intentions on doing that, and I don't understand why that's hard for people to get. It's almost like people want you to be miserable with them because they're miserable. Because it's like, what part of I'm comfortable and I don't want to change that do people not get? Like, and if you're pretending to not get it, I'm thinking it is because you're miserable and you're upset that other people won't be joining you in your misery. I never have to know what it's like to have a kid unalived in a school, pew-pewing, or to be bullied or harassed or unalived in any way, assaulted in any way. Like, I'm never going to have to experience that. I don't want to experience these things, you know? A lot of times you guys think that going through things builds character. And I'm like, maybe it does in some ways, depending on what it is and who it is. But I don't want to go through my kids being harmed and unalived to build my character. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to go through homelessness to build my character. I don't want to lose everything that I've worked hard for. I don't want to go back to living paycheck to paycheck to build my character. I would rather build my character by reading books, by learning about different cultures and learning about people and studying human psychology and studying plants and animals and whatever. You know what I mean? Studying the universe in which we live in, right? I would rather build my character by getting out and helping to volunteer at soup kitchens and stuff. Like, that is how I build my character. And I don't associate struggle with building character, especially if it's something that you can avoid. I am not about to get up every day and make my life a living hell just because people think that's what makes a real woman or that's what makes a real adult when you have all these 1,000,001 responsibilities. Like, no, I'm not going to do that. And I'm speaking for myself, and I'm also speaking for all the other child-free women out there, and even women who have kids but are like, I'm one and done. You know what I mean? Or I'm two and done, and that's it. Y'all got me effed up. So people have the right to live their lives how they want. But the reason why I say I escaped 80% of life's problems by not having kids is because most problems that women have in their lives tend to come from the stresses of parenthood or motherhood, and also from whatever spouse that they're living with or having to deal with, right? It is what it is. Those are the two, a man and some kids. Those are the two major stressors on a woman's life. Of course, you got money problems, and you have all these other things, the beauty standards and all that crap, right? But the main two things, kids and a man. And I am without both. And I plan on being without both forever. The kid thing is for sure not happening. Done, right? I can't wait till I hit menopause. That way, nature wouldn't make that decision for me. Then I ain't got to worry about it no more. But the whole aspect of being in a relationship, like, there's like no benefit for me to do that. Like no benefit. I see all the ways in which it can ruin my life. I see 0 ways where it can make my life better. So if I take away those two major problems that cause women the most strife in their lives, what strife do I really have to deal with now? Little stuff like don't be late to work, or make sure my Amazon packages come on time. My Fashion Nova jeans need to be here before Friday because I plan on taking them on my trip. You know what I mean? Those are the types of things that I worry about every day, and I want to keep it that way. If you think it's selfish and self-absorbed or whatever, then that's too bad. But I plan on being selfish and self-absorbed until the day I die. Anybody who have a problem with that, that's exactly what it is. It's your problem. Scamper off and find a way to deal with it. And I'm out.
So I work a job with people who are much older than me and usually married with kids. And they're always like, Danny, are you going to have kids? When are you going to have kids? Never, girl, never. Yesterday, I ate a can of sweet peas for dinner. And that's neglect. That's neglect. CPS is what, that's why, no, I'm not having no kids. They can't, you know what I'm saying? Like, come on now, y'all.
Parents who are confused on what child-free people do all day never had a personality to begin with and never had hobbies that they were interested in, and therefore they resorted to having children in order to occupy their time. If you're boring, just say you're boring. Those of us who choose not to have children aren't boring. That's why we're not bored with our lives. It strikes me as the same conversation of the people that are like, if I didn't have a job, I don't know what I would do all day. I would get so bored. Could never be me. People who get in my comment section and try to insult me by saying that I'm unemployed or this is unemployed behavior is the best compliment someone could ever give me, because you're right. I love not going into a job. I like to decide what I do with my time. I like to decide how I make money. Oftentimes when I hear parents say these types of things, I just think to myself, like, damn, you probably didn't want to have kids, but you did it because you thought that's what you were supposed to do, and now you're stuck with this decision for the rest of your life. And see people who are child-free, living their best life, going on vacation, having more disposable income, and you are missing out.
This whole conversation of children being places and having child-free places, as a parent, I agree. There should absolutely be places where kids should not be allowed. There are places I go. As a parent, like I said, I don't want to deal with a child. That's why I left mine at home. Yeah. But also on the other side of it, there are child-free people out here who feel like they should never deal with children ever. Ever. Like, they should just live a child-free world. And that's just not how life works. That's just not how things are. Because children are people too. They're also human beings that have wants, needs, and are allowed to be out in the everyday world. You know what I mean? You can't sit here and say, I want to live a child-free world outside of the spaces that you can't control. Now, if you can control those spaces, by all means, if you want those spaces to be child-free, make them child the fuck free. Because I like a child-free space too. Hello? But for places and spaces you cannot control whether a child is there or not, Get the fuck over it. Kids are human beings. Okay? And they're tiny human beings. They're learning how to be a human being. So you can't be mad at them for too fucking much. But on the other hand, like I said, like for parents who feel like their kids should be allowed a lot of places, no. Like when it comes to being on an airplane with screaming children, again, as a parent, oh my God, I don't want to sit there for hours on end and listen to a screaming child. I would want to choke myself if my baby ever did that. Thank God. He's only been on a plane once, but the time he did, he was smooth. Because I would have been pissed. You're pissed. But y'all got to understand, child-free places will exist. There are going to be places that people don't want to deal with your fucking kids. But on the other hand, children exist. So you cannot sit here and expect that your world to be completely child-free when children exist. So...